Classplus Business BTS with Mukul Rustagi.
Hello and welcome to the Business BTS with Classplus again. And today I have one of my most favorite people in the world, who's called Galina Chifina, and she's the managing partner at RTP Global. One of our investors, one of our long-term believers, one of our earliest believers. And so yeah, Galina, good to have you here. How are you?
I'm good, Mukul, and thank you for such a nice intro. This is all super mutual.
Thank you. So yeah, so we'll keep it very short. Again, like 15 minutes, because snacking is the new way of consuming content. And so, Galina's a few tidbits that we wanted to touch today was essentially how you are a Russian fund, and having investments across the world, having LPs across the world. Why India? And I believe that you've been here for a long while. Why did you actually decide to come to India in the first place? And when was it?
Yeah, that is a great story to tell. We actually started doing India in 2011 when one of our Russian portfolio companies called Yandex, which is like Google of Russia, went
Yeah.
public, and we suddenly created a lot of gains from there, and we decided we go international. And we've chosen India because of a few reasons. It was growing, it was English speaking, it was under penetrated by VCs, and there is also a very long history of Soviet Union and India having a lot of intersection. Like I was grown on the Bollywood movies, believe it or not, because Hollywood was not available in USSR. So Zita and Gita and all those names, they kind of were my childhood movies. So we decided, okay, India, let's give it a try. And that was my year 4 of my whole career. And the founder of the fund told us, okay, go and launch India and do it in a manner you want. So the beginning was not that smooth. We went to Alexa, which was a kind of similar to App Annie for the websites, looked at which websites were on the growing curve on the traffic, found
Yeah.
Snapdeal and Flipkart, and decided how do we reach out to the founder of Snapdeal. We called the call center. So we
Okay.
found a call center number of
Okay.
Snapdeal and called by the phone from Russia to India. The line was very, very bad. I think the lady on the other, part of the line was shocked that someone from Russia asked her to do something and connect to the founder of the company. Not only she was shocked, but she actually helped us a lot, and we got connected to go
Impressive.
through that journey.
I doubt how
Yeah,
many
that's
people
how we
would know
began.
this story. I don't think a lot of people would know this story.
No, no one actually does, exclusively for you.
Thank you for that. And how did when you compare from today, like how would you describe your first, let's say, visit or evaluation of or assessment of the country back in 2011, 12, whenever you first made your mind to go really, really deep? How was it very different from today? And did that scare you off?
Yeah. Well, again, I was very, very young. It was 10 years back. It was my first trip to India. My English was pretty basic. So when I landed in Delhi, I was shocked. I was shocked by, it was a cultural shock. It was a mental shock. Everything was very, very different. And that was the first stage. The second stage, when we started to meet Indian founders, I was shocked for the second time because in Russia, we've never seen that quality of storytellers, dreamers, and visionaries as we saw in India. And we were extremely excited and fascinated. We immediately realized that this is a market we really want to be on. Yes, it's at the very, very beginning, but it is so, so different. It is so exciting, and it just caught us in understanding that we do want to double down dramatically here. And the evolution of the founders, Indian founders are one of a kind. They are very different from everything I see on the other markets, and I invest in Turkey, in Europe, and Russia, even in US. So the biggest difference is this amazing ability to adapt,
Got it.
to change, to follow, the very, very turbulent environment and to navigate instead of just, being very rigid and very, very straight, unable to accept flexibility.
By the way, you just
And
describe how driving
we
on
were
Indian roads look like. This is exact description of that.
yeah, and the whole history, right? It's very similar for Russia, by the way. But in Russia and in Europe and in US, if someone has an idea, then changing the direction is a very, very challenging shift. In India, if something doesn't work, that's not a tragedy. You just take a turn, the next turn, next turn, next turn, and you find yourself in a way better place,
Got it.
in a way smoother environment.
Got it. No, thank you. Thank you for that. That's a very illustrative description of how the Indian founders or Indian roads or India in general looks like. And now post forward to that, like probably about 7-8 years forward to that. In fact, even 9 or 10. Um, what do you still find very similar to how you first saw the country and the founders, and what do you think has actually changed for the better across, like whether you look at capital markets or consumer markets or founder qualities or the kind of companies, like what has remained constant but and what has improved is something that I would want to hear from your lens.
Yeah, I think what is constant and what again I adore and I love is extreme openness and and accessibility. Like you can talk to the founder or CEO for 20 billion company in India, and he would give you his WhatsApp or invite you for dinner, even if it's the first time you meet him, and it's not necessarily he wants something
Yeah.
from you. In Europe or anywhere else, you talk to a guy who has $100 million company, and there is a huge distance between the two of you, which is very difficult to overcome. So, and that actually, it struck me from the very, very first visit to India, that people are very, very open and accessible, extremely friendly. I've never had that, amount of network being built on the first visit as it happened in India, and it continues. And I love it. I value that you leave one meeting, you go for another meeting, you get an introduction, you get a meeting scheduled, you get an appointment in 40 minutes. In London, you leave one meeting, maybe 4 weeks later, you'll get an email which will schedule a call another 4 weeks later. And this is very different. Connecting through WhatsApp, personal information sharing, very, very different from anywhere across the globe. This is same, and this is beautiful. What has changed? I see that many dreamers became executors. So there is this paradigm shift that kind of originally, that was very early on, and people were only, willing their vision to come true. Now they know how to make it true. They have at least part of the execution plan there. And this is amazing. The maturity of the market is changing so fast, and the quality of the executional abilities. I wouldn't say the quality of the founders. The founders are the founders. They're the best breed in the world anyway, by definition. But now they know how to make their dreams come true. And this is a big, paradigm shift, which I enjoy witnessing.
No, I think a lot of that also goes out to I think it's lesser about the founders, in all honesty. I think it's also about the kind of talent that exists in India. And like behind every founder, there are probably thousands of people who would have, who actually live a very similar journey. As in, like being a founder is obviously a little more glamorized, but the core people or the earlier folks, or even the ones who enter at later stage, I think all of them are also great executors in their rights, and they're happy to give up whatever they have to in their lives to become great executors. I think only then that does a company really execute well. So I think all credits to the people who make it happen, rather than the people who just dream about it, right? So that's very helpful. So Galina, for a lot of people who would be hearing you for the first time via this, or will be seeing you for the first time, would just love for them to hear how a stupendous journey of RTP being an investor in the country, how you have been behind some of the greatest companies that the country is producing. Would just love for you to give a flavor of how you have personally steered the fund and what kind of investments, what has been your investment rationale, what are some non-negotiable things that you absolutely look for in a company or founders, and how, and like just complete synopsis of your journey over the like it's a long question, but whatever we can cover in a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. I'll try to make it quick. So we are investing in India for 10 years, and I might say that India has been very generous to us, and we were extremely lucky by being able to back one of the best companies on the market, not actually being present on the ground for many years. So I was just flying till 2018 between Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and any other point of the world, and we didn't have an office. But despite that, again, and because probably of the fact that Indian founders and ecosystem in general were very, very friendly and open to us, we met a lot of exciting companies. So we were among a few first investors or second investors, I would say, in Freecharge. We were among the early investors in Snapdeal. We were the third investor, I think, in Rebel Foods. We were the first or among the first in Cred. We managed to back MPL, and like many other amazing companies on the market. Who we are actually by DNA, we are early stage investors, and we are able to make the best bets early in their journeys. The later it comes, I would say, less obvious for us the criteria becomes. So we are backing founders who are building the products on the great markets, but founders come first. And the most non-negotiable thing for us is a huge vision, huge ambition on building something extraordinary on the market, which is big enough to accommodate the next decacorns. Yeah, we'll produce quite a few decacorns later on.
Got it. No, I think that's very helpful. I can personally vouch for that. I hope we are able to live up to that as we keep on building Classplus into a great company. So yeah, Galina, on the last bit of the session, I'll ask you 3 or 4 very fast questions, very pinpoint, extremely spicy, and would look forward to your answers, right? So, Galina, the first one, what is the fastest record meeting to term sheet in an Indian context that you've ever given, and who was it?
I think the fastest among the recent one, because past memory fails me, but at least the recent one I do remember, was go quick. From the first meeting to the term sheet, I think we took like 3 days, and we were stellar fast.
Yeah, I wish I break that record someday with somebody. Yeah. Cool. And one company that you wish that you had invested but did not. Essentially the biggest, and it does not have to be by quantum, but your personal favorite miss of your entire portfolio.
Yeah, I think it was Ola Caps. So we did not invest a $20 million valuation because we thought Uber would eventually kill the local competitor. How wrong we were.
And which year, by the way, this was? This would be a decade back at least, right?
It was very early, maybe 2012, 13. It was very, very long time back.
No, I think personally a big fan of Bhavish. I think what he's built is something supremely incredible, and seeing that company being completely built out of this country, immensely inspirational, right? The third one, what is the strangest / funniest / most memorable thing that you remember from any pitch session where a founder would have done something very different from what normal ones would do in their VC pitch to you? What would be that?
Well, I would say there was not a pitch, but there was more on the diligence side. So when we just came to India, it was our second trip, And we invested back then in e-commerce retailer, the shoe retailer, which launched a private label called Be Stylish. So we went
Okay.
for a diligence to an Agra shoe market. And for the person who was for the second time in her life in India, Agra shoe market was such a experience. I think I couldn't sleep properly for a few days after that. So that's been a lot of fun.
No, I think it was more about to do with your second trip to India than now you would not probably find that
Yeah,
as
absolutely. Now it's much better.
And the last thing, what is the biggest misconception that most people in the world have about VCs or partners? Like what's that?
You know, the world is still looking at India as the developing country which is following the path which the developed countries are showing. And the moment then when the developed countries would wake up and understand that actually India is setting up the trend, that would be too late for them. And I'm very happy with that. I'm happy I'm inside and I'm witnessing that, because you guys are doing now, you're building a new world. And this new world would be followed by the developed countries pretty soon. In that, I'm 100% sure.
No, I think that is supremely sweet and humble of you to say that. And with that note, I think we'll quickly sign off on this one. Been a super pleasure. I've known you for a couple of years now. You've always been candid. You were again candid. Thank you for sharing a lot of bits with the people for the first time. Things which they would probably never ever read in articles before. And thank you for sparing so much time. And thank you for being a big supporter of Classplus. Let's build a very massive legendary company together. On that note, signing off, and thank you, Galina.
I'm very, very lucky shareholder and a very, very happy friend. And thanks for inviting me. And I wish you a greatest luck.
Thank you.